But the first thing I want to start off with you is, how you view the war with Iran right now, okay? And going back and forth. You said Venezuela. A lot of people would say to you, those that are maybe critical of the president's war with Iran, they would say, well, Dominic, the reason why we're supported with Venezuela and the way he got Maduro, he went in, got him, got out, it was quick, right? Okay. This is extensive, it's longer. How are you viewing this war with Iran? And what are people not looking at? Because you got a couple factions, right? You got the non-interventionists. I just don't want to go to war. Let's mind our own business. Monroe Doctrine. Why should we go there? Then there are those that are supportive. But what are people not thinking about?
Okay, so I'll try to be in the beginning. I'll try to be very, very simple. When you have a problem with your tooth, you've got a bad tooth. Mm-hmm. Some people are so afraid to go to see a dentist that they are waiting, and it spreads. It's painful. Sometimes it's cost a lot, but you have to do it because you might actually die from the infection. Mm-hmm. Some people are not afraid, and they do things which they know must be done for the future. That's how I see it. I know it's very simple. I don't want to be too simple, but what I mean by that, for 47 years, there was no man to react on what is happening in Iran. Everyone is shocked when we see these clips. Iran before revolution, after the revolution, women are sold, women are hanged, gays are thrown out from the roofs. Nobody reacted. Then they blackmailed the whole world, like Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, the axis of evil. And they really blackmailed us for years, 47 years. Then we know that they are still financing every single terrorist organization around the world, known, even Boko Haram in Nigeria. Some people saying that it's not true, it is true. Hamas, Boko Haram, all jihad is paid and sponsored by Iran. How can you say it's not my problem? When people in Europe, maybe not as many, but in Europe, we actually have jihad already. Machetes, people are beheaded in the name of the religion. Priests are killed. The numbers of rapes, because they are different culturally and they believe they can rape infidels, are extreme. You don't have that. So I'm sorry to say that, but you don't have that yet. So you do not understand the scale of what is happening in Sweden, what is happening in Germany, what is happening in Paris, what is happening around Europe. Because Europe was weak and led jihadists and uneducated, wild people from different cultural circles. And then you've got people who are, in the mass migration, you've got 2 or 3 or 100 of them paid by organizations like very similar to Hamas, right? Hezbollah or other. So I think that people do not understand why this is important. It is important for next generations, for our daughters. I know some people will say, it's cost a lot and this and that. Yeah, dentist is expensive as well. That's life. Some things in life are not perfect. You have to pay for the doctor. You have to pay for the war. I'm not pro-war. Don't get me wrong. I'm not exciting because someone will be killed or will die. No. But sometimes in our lives, we have to make very hard decisions. Very hard decisions.
What has this revealed by different countries? Because you're a member of the European Parliament, correct, right? So what have you learned? Sometimes when fight takes place and you're at a bar with your friends, you notice who will fight, who won't fight, who runs, who will come in. You thought the big guy would fight, he didn't. You thought the small guy would run, he fought. You learn a lot about everybody, right? What have you learned about your peers in the EU from the war starting to now? Different countries, UK, Germany, Spain, Italy, what have you learned?
I must say, and I'm very sorry to say that as a European, most of them are cowards, spineless cowards. And we had this discussion with my friends. And if war would start in Europe without US, it would take 2 or 3 days for Europe to be done. I'm serious.
2 or 3 days
Yes.
with no help from U.S.
If US would not help, we would be done. I'm serious. So if someone thinks that US will pay from the taxes for Germany, look at how Poland pays, how much we pay. We, like, everyone should pay 2%, right? We are 3.5%, 4.5% in a minute. And we pay more than we should, right? That's why Poland is so different. And we don't have illegal migration, so we can pay more. So we are smart. We don't have that. Our government did not allow mass migration to Poland, and I will keep coming back to this fact, because this is where most of the problems started in Europe. And it's just a fact. So if you ask me about the war, it's unpleasant, people are dying, it's expensive, but very often is needed